Hi Kenra family, it's your ambassador, La Wheeler. I'm super excited for this very special tutorial. We're gonna take Tessa's hair back to a super organic, natural blonde blend. We're gonna camouflage some previously damaged pieces and make her look as blended and soft as possible. Let's get started. As you can see, there's really heavily highlighted hair, and it's gotten to a point where there's been so much overlap that it's caused damage and breakage. I want to disguise this by blending a beautiful balayage pattern, and I want to also preserve her hair's health. As you can see, there's a lot of interior depth, so this is a really good canvas to work on. In the back, she has so much more regrowth, so I think it'd look really pretty to add some dimension. As you can see, I'm using my clay lightener and I'm working up 2 sections from the nape of the neck up towards the crown. I'm being really generous with my application and sliding the lightener up and down onto the surface. It's really important that I'm pulling the hair as taut as possible so that I can get a really clean surface space. I'm bringing the lightener as close as I can, blending it up towards the root to just soften that big gap in her natural color. Now I'm working on diagonal sections, doing a really heavy V type of placement. This is just going to give us a lot of dimension as we continue to work up the back of the head. I usually use 30 volume with clay lightener. In this case, because she has such a light base, I decided to work with 20 volume because I am more concerned about the integrity of her hair more than several levels of lift. In her situation, I am super happy with 1 to 2 levels of lift. As you can see, each section I have a bolder pattern on each side, and I soften the interior section for a really organic effect. Because I'm using 20 volume, I'm not concerned with overlapping her old color because the formula is gentle enough to budget without over-compromising or lifting it too high. It's important to have a light hand in the middle of each of these sections because you don't want to push the product through and create bleed marks. It's important to saturate completely with clay lightener because you don't want it to dry out and not lift. So when you saturate and give a generous amount of product, it allows it to stay moist enough to continue the lifting process. Now as I work on the front 2 sections, I switched over to blue powder lightener. This is not a clay lightener, it's a high lifting lightener, and I decided to use it for the front so I can get a little bit better lift and more dimension. We're using 20 volume still, and Traditional lighteners and high lifting lighteners work really well with 20 volume. I'm still creating a similar pattern, but as I work towards the top sections, I'm getting nice and neat with my pattern and making sure it's soft and intentional. I'm even bringing up a third ribbon to give a better look of dimension. This lightener is slightly blue, and that helps to tone while it lifts, and I mixed it 2:1 to help it glide onto the hair. Now I'm working off the crown, and I'm continuing to do that more variegated pattern with the blue powder lightener, and I'm just gonna lay it over the sections where I use the clay. At this point, I like to use cotton. I don't always use it, but in this case, I found it to be helpful in keeping all the sections separate. Now I'm pulling out very specific ribbons so that I can break up the old color pattern and start from scratch. Now that we're working on the hairline, I've mixed fresh product, and I'm being very delicate with my placement. I'm working from ear to front of forehead so that I don't disrupt the color placement as I work. We kept the toning really simple and dropped the shadow root down and combed it through an overall glaze. Because we balayaged, it softened up her whole entire look and melted in that top section that previously had disconnected from the rest of her hair. Here's our final result on Tessa's hair. We loved how soft and melty it turned out.